so we can have something to draw from.
Right.
Because you will be depleted out here.
That is so true.
And you made a great point where you were talking about we need his strength. Because many times, women, even as Black women, we carry a lot on our shoulders.
Right.
And we think that we need to be the strong one. But in actuality, we are not strong. We find our strength in him.
Yes.
The strongest people you see are the ones that have, that is leaning on the Lord for their strength.
Right.
Because we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. But if we disconnect from that, we're burdened, we're weak, we need, so prayer at every stage of life is so important because that's our connection with the Father.
Right. And going back to when you say you find time to pray, I know some women out there, it's like, where am I going to find the time to pray?
Yeah.
And for me, it has been in the morning. I feel like if I'm intentional, I have to spend time with God before I start my day. Because if I do not, the day will get away from me. And I'll say, okay, well, I'll do it when I get off. And then when I get off, I get home and I'm cooking and preparing for the night. And then next thing you know, I'm waking up the next morning and I have not prayed, read a scripture, a devotion, or anything like that. So I would say the best way to be intentional about spending time with God to make sure that we get that prayer in is to, again, go back to what works for us.
Yes.
And what works for our schedule and our lifestyle.
And even to that mom, like with infant kids, it's like, you're already sleep deprived.
Right.
So if I try to wake up early, or that mom that has to get out earlier, pack lunches and all those things, and it still doesn't seem like the best time to pray, which I feel also is the morning, but they just can't do it.
Right.
That scripture, prayed without ceasing, that's serious.
Yes.
It's like any time of the day, that's the great thing.
Yes.
Is that you can be prayerful.
Right.
You can talk to God. You can praise and worship on the way to work. Any second that you have at work, or even in home.
Right.
Anytime, just having a prayerful life.
Right.
Just making a decision to be prayerful. It's always good to get that alone time so you can hear better. But having some connection is always important, and that could be anywhere. Right. And isn't it great that you can just call on God anywhere? Anywhere. You could pray at any time that and those are some of the things that I'm teaching my kids.
Yes.
I desire that they would pray before they leave. I desire that we would pray together before they leave the house, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. Right. But Mama, sending prayers as you walk, you can pray. At school, at home, however but as long as you have that prayerful lifestyle, praying without ceasing.
That is so true. Whether you're cooking dinner, that's right. Like you said, riding in the car. Like some of my most vulnerable connections where feeling the presence of God has been riding to work. Praising, crying, the whole thing. Right. And by the time I get to work, I'm just like, oh, okay, I've gotten it in, and I can face the day. And God gives us grace too. Oh, yeah. At every stage. And sometimes I've struggled with giving myself grace. How do you practice that when you feel like, well, maybe I'm not showing up in the way that I would like, or I'm not spending enough time with the kids or enough time with my husband, whatever that is for you? How do you show yourself grace in those moments? Okay, so I would first say that I just let my family know. I'm a communicator, so everybody knows basically where I'm coming from and what I'm thinking. And so I let them know, look, I'm not perfect. I set the expectation that I'm not perfect. Right. And that's why I am pointing them to the Lord, who is perfect. Yes. That's why I go to God. Yes. And so I let those that are with my husband, my children, my family, I'm just, but
one of the things I would say is sometimes I can be my worst critic,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and my expectations are high for myself, although I realize that I also fail myself, and that's why I give grace to those around me. But one thing, I was listening to this podcast, and I think it was called Black Women's Therapy or something like that. Black Girl Therapy.
Yeah.
And I was listening to where they were talking in a group. This was not just the Dr. Joy, I think it is.
Dr. Joy.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. I just happened on this. I don't usually listen to this.
Okay.
But they were doing something for World Day, World Mental Health Day, and it was last year, 2024. And I overheard them talking about self-compassion.
Oh.
And they said that self-compassion is number one. If you're having a bad day, you know, just realize it's a bad day. It doesn't feel good. This is awful. You know,
right.
The second part would be to realize that there's so many others that go through things. And I think about us too, as women, that there are, you know, God said that there's no temptation that has come to man that hasn't been experienced already.
Right.
And so we have to realize no matter how bad it is, somebody has already gone through that. But that's also to know that they made it through. And then also that, you know, you may have someone there that will be willing to help you. So do reach out to others. Do reach out to family who's there to help you, and friends. Friends are made for adversity. You know, family is there to be with you, to connect with you and help you go and guide you through things in life. And then the third thing that they mentioned was to be kind to yourself. And that's when you speak to yourself. And they even mentioned, like, when you speak to yourself, say your name. There's research. So if you're encouraging yourself, and we know that the Bible tells us to encourage ourselves, and also David encouraged himself all the time. We can see in scripture things that he said to himself. So we do have to encourage ourselves. Stop being that critic. And I'm just going to be honest, Chanel, I probably am really bad at that. You know, I don't really have a lot of people that have to give me feedback, because I give it to myself, you know. But I'm not going to be mean to myself. I'm going to be that good coach to myself. And I made that decision. And then I'm going to speak. And the Bible talks to us about speaking, casting down imaginations, all those things that are negative, and declare it over yourself and say your name. You know, Crystal, you're going to do it. Crystal, it's going to be all well. It is well with you. Crystal, whatever the encouragement needs to be that day, speak your name into that encouragement. So my thing is, out of that, is definitely share with others if you're going through, if you're things are not going the way you want them to go and you need that encouragement, share with people that you can trust. And then also remember to encourage yourself. You know, encourage yourself.
No, I like that. I have learned over the years in my process of building the importance of communication, because I used to feel like people could read my mind, if that makes sense. Like, they should know where I'm coming from without me saying it. So now I've made a practice to just communicate how I'm feeling, if I can or cannot do certain things, starting with my kids. I remember my oldest son, I think it was in high school, and you know how they have Friday night football games, right? So on Thursday, this was before he was driving. So on Thursdays, he would say, "Mama, I need you to drop me off at the football game and pick me up." Now, mind you, I'm working all week. On Friday, I just want to come home. And he would do this last minute, or I want to go here, I want to go there, can you take me? And he would do it at the last minute. So I told him, I said, "Justin, I cannot continue to drop you off and pick you up last minute. You have to give me a couple of days notice, because number one, you don't know if I've made any plans, or even if, you know, I feel like doing it." And so when I communicated that to him, I said, if you don't, then you risk the possibility of not going. And when I did that, instantly he started telling me, like on Tuesday, "Mama, I want to go to the football game. on Friday, and they know that my time is my bath time. That's like my me time. Girl, when I tell you I love a tub, a hot bath, that is where like I have my quiet time. I may, scroll on social media or whatever I do it in the bath time. So they know, I say, does anybody have anything they want to say to me before I get in the tub? Because when I get in this bathroom, please don't interrupt me unless it's like an emergency. So communicating those things that are important to me. Or even when I've had a bad day, I have learned to say, you know what, I haven't had a really good day. I just want to go in the room and watch a show. And I've learned through communicating that the people in the house respects that.
Right.
And then that's when I can kind of get that time to myself, rejuvenate, and the next day or maybe hours later, I can show up better for them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that's awesome. Communication is key, especially when you're leading with love,
right?
With your family, and it gives them an opportunity to love you well. Because when we talk about leading with love, too, it's like everybody wants to be loved the way they love to be loved, and so that's you communicating with them. Hey, I need this time to myself,
right?
In order so I can feel good and I can be loving to you guys. And I've done the same, even with my family. We have every year, and there's different points in our year that we meet up again to talk about needs, everybody's needs, and how we can support each other. We do this, and I know we did this on Facebook. We had a workshop with the family where we did we wrote down our goals, and our kids saw that, hey, Mom and Dad has goals, you all have goals, and let's see how we can support one another in those goals. So all of that was great communication. What sport do you want to play this season? So we can all be looking at the schedule, and we can write those things down, like you said, different commitments. Will I be able to help you with this? And then also, how can you help Mom? Mom and Dad have a goal to lose weight, which we're on that again.
Yeah.
So